Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests, we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges, and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. Today's episode is the latest in our series of interviews with senior business and IT leaders to hear about their career highs and career lows and tips for getting ahead, the challenges they've faced throughout their career. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Lynsey Reid, Customer Experience Director at Heineken UK. So welcome, Lynsey.
Thanks, Craig, and it's great to be here and what an opportunity. So thank you.
Wonderful. I'm also delighted to say I've enjoyed many of your organisation's beverages over the years and continue to do so.
That is great to hear. Yeah, good.
And just before we get underway with our main conversation, I thought I'd ask you, what's the first thing that you remember saving up your own money to buy for yourself?
Oh my goodness.
And while you think about that,
yeah,
this may be embarrassing, it may not be. I'm not embarrassed to say, so I am going to say it. Mine was a 7-inch single at a local record store, and it was DISCO by Ottawan.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And
I'd love to give a really cool answer like that. I'd love to recall, but I think I would show up my poor music taste, particularly in the 80s. I think, although I am digging deep here, and I would say I'm not particularly good saver, which is one of my downfalls over the years. I'm much better now that I'm a proper adult in my 40s, but certainly in my teens, 20s and 30s, I lived month to month, which was how many people I think do at that age, but and lots of learnings from that. But I think way back when, I do remember having my eye on a particular pair of pink roller skates, which I saved up for over a number of weeks, and then subsequently on the first try broke my arm. So the excitement, and they went back in the cupboard pretty quickly. So I have recollections of them arriving and the excitement of going to the shops and getting them out of the box and then putting them straight on and falling flat on my face. So let that be a lesson to never saving. That's probably why I went into my 20s and 30s refusing to save, because it doesn't pay.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, that's a sharp introduction to buying your own things. And I maybe took the risk-free route, getting a record rather than roller skates, getting myself on wheels.
You're far cooler, yeah. Well, I don't know, actually. Roller skates and records.
Oh,
it's a good combo.
Cool. Oh, excellent. And have you improved your roller skating since?
I would say I've not been back on a pair yet. And yeah, I think I was forever scarred, luckily. And I certainly wouldn't attempt it now. It would be more than a broken arm, I think.
That's maybe a wise decision. Maybe a wise decision.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for that, Lynsey. And just to start us off in our main conversation, would you be able to give us a bit of background on your career so far and what led you to working in your industry?
Yeah, certainly. So I guess I'm proud to say that I've worked in alcoholic beverages since the age of 21, albeit the journey throughout them has been varied. I started working in ad agencies in my early 20s for a company called KLP, EuroRSCG at the time. And it was a fantastic introduction to drinks marketing, working on really big brands like Guinness and Smirnoff and Sky Vodka and Campari, a whole host of brands that allowed me to kind of dip my toe into big FMCG type companies, albeit I was not client side, as we would call it back then. I was in the agency, and I got to travel a lot, and it was a wonderful experience. And I was young, and we worked on big festivals like Tea in the Park and something called Witness, which was over in Ireland, a Guinness sponsored festival. And the rest is kind of history, and that I've never strayed too far from alcohol. It's an amazing category to work in. It's vibrant. It's fun. It's challenging, particularly through the last 5 years. As you can imagine, our sector has been hit particularly bad by, the world that we live in. So yeah, 25 years or so working in drinks marketing. But my sort of I guess entry into to tech and digital and really started in Heineken. I had worked within advertising on website design, but you remember website design in 2007 was very different from what we know it to be today, and it was really kind of sub-sites that we would create for brands, and it wasn't particularly dynamic, and we were really just learning and understanding the opportunity for digital back then. But I started in Heineken in 2010, and really from that day onwards started to take a real keen interest in things like e-commerce and that channel as an opportunity for disruption to traditional business kind of models. And over the coming years worked in various flavors of e-commerce and product development, always on, and I hate this expression, the business side, because we are the business as one, but the commercial side of the organization. So I've never actually worked in IT or digital and technologies that's known within Heineken. I've always worked in the commercial side. And yeah, my career sort of really grew and accelerated after 2000, and I had children and twin boys in 2014, and returned after maternity leave. And I really kind of I came back from post maternity leave with a real ambition and fire in my belly to do well. And we might talk about this later, but then started to do some jobs in Heineken within Europe, and setting up a centre of excellence for digital capabilities. And really sort of riding the wave of what e-commerce was doing to our industry. I often say right place, right time, that I jumped into this world at a time when it really started to take off. But have loved being at the forefront of the latest trends and technologies all through my kind of time at Heineken. And that brings me today as Customer Experience Director. So always drinks marketing, sorry, I shouldn't say drinks marketing, always drinks in some capacity, whether it be sales, e-commerce, marketing, selling. I've seen it all really, and worked on some fun brands along the way.
Oh, wow, thank you. And what role has SAP played in your career to date?
Well, only really, I mean, SAP is obviously featured in as a prominent platform for our organisation. It's our ERP system, and up until 2015, that's probably all I knew it to be. However, we launched a e-commerce site back in 2012. On the time, and a kind of bespoke, customized piece of technology that we built almost from scratch. And it wasn't until 2017 that we migrated over to Hybris, which is now known as SAP Commerce. And that whole period of RFIs and technology selection was heavily involved in looking at the sort of top right Gartner options that were available to us, and I was part of the team that selected SAP Commerce, which was Hybris, back in 2017, and then that journey since then has been predominantly on the SAP Commerce platform, and it has been, I would say, at that point, due to the investment and the scale of which we started to move, it really started to transform the agenda from 2017 onwards. We were on a technology that allowed us to move much faster and a bit more sophisticated than what we'd been on previously. So yes, in 2017, I would say I've been a kind of active user, so to speak, of SAP Commerce.
Thank you. And just taking I suppose a little step back, and talking through your journey to your current role of Customer Experience Director. How did you land that role?
So ultimately at the heart of what I do is digital transformation. Everything is about moving the organisation from A to B. A is traditional route to markets, ways of working, organisational models, waterfall, quite archaic IT systems, and B is all of our customers online, much more automated, starting to use AI, much deeper, richer digital capabilities within the business. And my job is to navigate that journey from a B2B perspective. I should say digital is a big old word, but I look specifically at B2B. And I think really when you're looking at digital transformation, you can't look at it in the isolation of just technology or e-commerce. It touches every area of the business, as you will know. And there was a recognition about a year ago that in order for us to really accelerate that journey, there needed to probably be a number of functions come together under one roof. And that was product development, e-commerce, customer care, digital transformation, customer experience, sales operations. These are all the functions that now sit within my remit. Because actually, to be able to drive the change that we needed to change, that collaboration amongst those departments, everyone working to one strategy, one set of KPIs, was really, really important. And hence the creation of a customer experience team, of which I was lucky enough to be selected to lead that team. Prior to that, I was head of digital transformation and was making progress, but really that I guess pivot into a much broader role that touches more corners of the on-trade business has allowed us to move with a much faster pace. And it makes so much more sense now when I look at my management team and see the collaboration across those individuals, that there's no way we could get to where we want to get to without everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, as they say.
And are there unique challenges in the drinks industry when it comes to your business-to-business commerce?
Yeah, absolutely. And, often the B2C world versus the B2B world is very different. It's very similar from a customer's or consumer's perspective. You log in, you browse products, you look at promotions, you check out, you look at your account statements, you make payments. Very similar, whether that be my Tesco shop or my shopping for my business. However, the nature of a B2B customer means a much more arguably tailored experience. So really specific customer pricing, the kind of frequency of orders, the size of orders puts a little bit more risk, I guess, into when you're building these platforms and integrations, that there's some complexity that I would argue that's not there with B2C. Not to downplay my B2C colleagues in any way. I mean, it's still a very complex world, e-commerce and the opportunity. But B2B brings, because of the service element, and I guess the complexity that comes with pricing. I think if I was to look back over the last 5 years, the two things that have challenged us the most in this world is pricing complexity and promotion, so revenue management, the ability to offer those tailored promotions to customers that are based on what they buy and how often they buy and when they buy, which is arguably still in a B2C world, but is a degree of complexity more, I think, in B2B. So you need to have products that can support that. You're also integrating with these big CPG, FMCG organizations that are transforming. We tend to be integrating into fairly complex back-end systems that have been around for many years. Workarounds have been created. Patches are all over the place. So it ain't simple. It's not a greenfield scenario where, you're starting from scratch. And your customers demand a lot of you. They're small businesses. I work in pubs and bars. They're spending, a great deal of money every week. Our average order value for a pub is about £1,500 to £2,000 a week that they're spending with us. That's high risk for a small business. So they're putting a lot of confidence in your hands. And, if we have what we call a P1, a priority one incident, then the impact on our customers is immediate. They can't order for their pub. If they can't order for the pub, they have to find that stock elsewhere. And in the worst case scenario, they can't open at the weekend because they don't have beer and cider to sell. So, there's a complexity that comes with that, and it makes you be much more considered, much more customer centric than perhaps we have been in the past, where we really have to put ourselves in the shoes of the customer when we're building these products and realize the impact of not having a brilliant customer experience and having great e-commerce products can have on them.
Yes, and obviously customer experience is paramount and the main focus of your role as such. So how does SAP help Heineken to improve the experience you deliver?
Well, in a number of ways, I guess. If I go back to that P1 example, uh, when we get the dreaded priority one notification that happens occasionally, thank goodness it happens much, much less than when it did in the beginning of this journey when we were still learning and perhaps we didn't have that robust kind of process in the background to support. And we've learned a lot over the last few years. So when a P1 happens, it impacts your revenue almost immediately, and you need to have disaster recovery plans in place, communication plans, but more importantly, you need a really good development team that's willing to, we work in an agile world, drop tools and start focusing on that. I'm sitting where I'm just now. Our customer care team is just behind this wall with people like us with headsets on, speaking to customers, thousands of calls a week coming in. If you have a priority one, the wait time on those calls shoots up immediately. It's incredible to watch. Literally, the phone calls start ringing. So first and foremost, you need to have a good relationship with SAP, whereby they can help you, they can respond at pace when you do face those challenges. And that is as much about relationship and people as it is about processes and ways of working. So that's fundamental, and I think the partnership has been there in the past and is there today to allow us to respond quickly in the moment when we need them. And there's some really smart people that we've worked with over the years within SAP who can help us, find the problem quickly. I think the second area is about sort of future thinking and keeping our eye on what's around the corner. And we've run a number of sessions with SAP where they've helped us, I guess, imagine the art of the possible. It was only last month that we were in London, a workshop with SAP and Google, looking at what we could do with regards to data-driven sort of selling and taking a slightly different approach and innovation ultimately. And then the third thing, and it sounds very rehearsed, but genuinely off the top of my head, is the access to things like the user groups, where you can have people who have similar experiences, who've gone through, similar journeys, and are able to share best practice, etc. There's a number of other areas for sure that come with it, but I would say they're top three. Be there when we need you, help us imagine the future. And yeah, the just that general support in the day-to-day is absolutely critical.
Thank you.
We know our community, but we don't know yours yet. Why not share the benefits of your UK&I Sub membership with those who don't know about us? The UK&I Sub referral scheme rewards you for helping to grow and develop our community. You can check out the link in the description to find out more about how you can get involved. Terms and conditions apply. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
And are you looking to, you were talking there about data-driven selling, working with Google, working with SAP. So you're looking to embrace emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. It's high on the list. It's everywhere you look and everything you read just now. And I think what I knew about AI last month has changed completely. So that's the pace that we're changing. Sometimes by the time I've finished reading a white paper, an article, something's come out that's told me that actually that's no longer true. So the big challenge we have is trying to hang our hat on what our position is with AI and how we can embrace it, how we get the capabilities within our organization to capitalize on it, how we have the right technologies, the right data. But for sure, over the next few years, AI will transform how we do business, from our forecasting to our recruitment to our selling on e-commerce, to how we optimize our sales force. AI will play a role across the board. I think we need to get comfortable with that quite quickly as an organization, and we are. We have some really smart people that are looking at the opportunity and are building the technologies as we speak to support and capitalize on that for our customers. I've quoted this many times, and I'm not even sure if he said it, but I think my team are sick of me hearing me say this, but Elon Musk, dare I say it, said, AI won't take over our jobs, but people that understand AI will take over our jobs. And I think that's a really powerful statement that I repeat on a regular basis. Don't be scared of this, just understand it, read about it. But you don't need to be sitting in front of a computer coding AI in years to come, but you need to be able to talk about it confidently and understand the opportunity it presents for our organisation.
Oh, thank you. And we talked about AI, you talked about, from what you were saying, good people in SAP you've lent on in the past. And when we look at kind of the level of support by software vendors and IT partners, of course, not just SAP, based on your experience, how would you rate that level of support? And are there perhaps areas for improvement from your side?
Yes, there's always areas of improvement. This sounds fairly obvious, but I think being able to make opportunities super tangible and easy to understand and easy to start testing quickly and break things down is really, really core. And this is not SAP, but I have sat with many consultants and vendors over the years and been sold a dream that is really, really difficult to break down and make tangible in your everyday business. So there's something about making that dream realistic and making it tangible. Starting small is quite often missed. So being able to start, I'm a really big fan of experimentation, doing small tests and perhaps even low and no code tests that allow you to understand what the opportunity is or what the opportunity isn't. And quite often you're kind of leaping to the utopian dream that, is for organizations like, Heineken and many others can be kind of years away, and is so helping us start somewhere I think is important. For sure, this won't be a surprise to people listening and yourself, but the biggest issue that we face is good quality people and developers. I think I have tried every model available: onshore, nearshore, offshore, vendors, big vendors, small vendors, contractors, internal FTE. I've tried everything, and I don't believe personally that there is one model out there that works. I think you kind of have to fine tune it to your organization and then make it work for you. But for sure, good quality people, an available resource is hard to come by. And we've worked with many IT vendors who, again, have maybe sold the dream that those people are sitting on a bench ready to go, and then the reality is very different and the churn is very different. So, yeah, I've had some great relationships with IT vendors over the years, and I've learned a huge amount from those people as well. And it is all about people. I put great emphasis on that. You of course buy the brand and the offering and the capabilities, but you also buy the people and that growth mindset and that curiosity to help you grow your business and support you comes often down to relationships, especially in a big old world of consultants who can be crawling over themselves to support you, and really it comes down to those people that you immediately connect with and they get your business quickly and they see the opportunity for transformation. So I think you could probably talk for much longer about my experiences of working with IT vendors and partners, but that probably summarizes it fairly well.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes I think that, you're in conversations, think, look, please don't try and blind me with science. Just tell me as it is, nice layman's terms. And I like what you said there about being able to get access to something quickly, to test, to try, to fail, to try again. And I think, do they call it the marshmallow game or something, where you have strings of spaghetti or you have and marshmallows, who can build the tallest tower? And over the years, it was I think the kindergarten children or whatever, the nursery age children, because what they didn't overthink it. They just started building it, failed fast, built it again, and they built the tallest towers. And it's fascinating how that works. And
and just going back to your point just about demystifying, I think whenever I'm speaking to someone that's super technical or selling an idea, I always genuinely think about how can I talk about this to the most senior person in my organization, and how can I talk about this to one of the most junior people in my organization. And I need to be able to do that, and condense it down. And actually, quite often, by the way, the most junior person in the organization will understand it far more because of the generation that they are and the world that they've grown up in. And we're working with digital graduates just now that have come in, and we are learning from them in a way that you wouldn't have imagined. But you have to be able to translate these really complicated things like AI and opportunities that are presented within data and technology. We have to be able to translate them back to people that haven't grown up in that world or understand it, and looking at it through that lens of most senior and most junior. Like, how do I tell that story? Because both of them need to come on the journey, but for different reasons. So sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's an interesting way for, I guess, IT vendors and partners to, if I can't do that, then there's no point in going much further, because I'm not an IT person. I've grown up in commerce, and I need help with it sometimes as well.
Oh, fantastic. No need to apologise at all. And just when we look at that and we look at some of kind of the projects that you've worked on and you've delivered, what are some of the things that you've learned when it comes to delivering successful projects?
So firstly, the thing that holds us back the most is our own ability to believe and think. And I'll give you an example of that. We have, for a number of years, been overly pontificating about moving our customers online. So traditionally, if you want a pub, you can phone into our contact centre here in Edinburgh and place your order, or you could have placed it on Heineken Direct, which has now been rebranded as Easel, which is our SAP Commerce solution. We wanted to offer an omni-channel approach, and we believed that having that flexibility was right for the customers. But in reality, what you're getting there is quite often an inconsistent approach. You're investing heavily into different service models, a large contact center that's available, but also investing in the latest technology. And you have to believe that latest technology in 2022 is going to deliver what the customer needs. Personalization, dare I say it, 24/7, of course, flexibility to when they order. So the decision to actually move customers online, many hours spent in meetings looking at risk. Will we lose customers? Will they come on the journey with us? What will happen to our NPS score? And we did it, and nobody blinked. Customers quite simply did not care. They were quite happy to move over to, at the time, Heineken Direct. It made utter sense to them to order online because, of course, they order everything else online, and it's 2023 or 2022 at the time. And on reflection, that was our own mindset and our own inability to kind of take risks and believe that the model that we've been working in for 20, 30 years was fit and right. So there's a piece about, being customer centric and having belief in your customers as opposed to being internally focused. I would say that's one of the biggest learnings that I will talk about for many years. Also the dependency on every element of your business. When you build an e-commerce solution, like we have that, hundreds of millions of pounds worth of revenue goes through every year. It touches every single part of your business: finance, supply chain, e-commerce, sales. And the power of cross-functional working and bringing people on the journey and being able to tap into SMEs as you build these products, and more importantly, as you improve them. And then finally, not finally, because again, I've got more mistakes that I could write about than successes, but I think there's definitely something in this concept of an MVP, and people understanding that when you go live with new technologies and products, that thereafter you continuously improve it. That is not something that you would have seen historically. SAP and other projects, IT projects, we were used to, on the commercial side, throwing it over the wall to IT to build for you, and then they'd throw it back and say, good luck, there you go. And of course, there was collaboration and business requirements and UAT and everything along the way. So I'm being a little bit facetious there, but there wasn't the collaboration that you have today. We didn't have product ownerships and backlogs and continuous improvement. But the worst thing that would happen is when they threw it back over the wall, you'd then move on to the next project, and it would sit and get dusty for a number of years before someone said, we need an upgrade, or we need to do something different. This new world that we're in of continuous improvement actually requires a completely different mindset as a business, a completely different organizational structure, completely different collaboration between departments as you're forever increasing and improving the features that your customer wants to see. So yeah, that's I think when I look back at the journey we've been on, it's almost unrecognizable and how we used to build products. And we're customer centric, and product development and Scrum is at the heart of what we do now, and to great success and avail.
Thank you. And on that, I suppose, continuous improvement piece, and we were talking about help and support earlier, and you kindly brought up access to the user group and your peers within the user group. So how important do you see the role of a user group and community?
Well, hugely important. Communities and forums, whether it be a SAP user group or, I sit in a kind of Women and Allies network here in the UK where like-minded people get together and talk about, things that bring them together and opportunities and challenges. So the concept of communities and forums and cross-functional groups and cross-organisational groups has always been really, really powerful. I steal a lot in a nice way of ideas and observations. So for some time, when I was building out the gender task force here in the UK, I met with Mondelez regularly, and some of the stuff that I learned from them about what they are doing, both in the IT area actually and in the area of gender equality and DE&I, is often much more powerful than anything I'll find internally. I have sat around tables with people who are in similar roles to me, and that has felt like therapy at times. Speaking to people who've had similar challenges, and they're always so consistent, especially in the world of digital transformation. If, my counterparts and other CPG groups, Mars, Diageo, whoever, were sitting here right now, I'm sure they would list off 5 or 6 very similar challenges that they face. Over the years, digital transformation in these organizations can and has felt quite lonely, because you're at the front of kind of progressive thinking. You're changing how we do business. You're changing parts of the organization. You're trying to, change mindset and get people to come on a journey. And not everyone is in that same place. So having people that understand it and can share best practice is really important. And the world that we live in now, and COVID, etc., has allowed that communication and that collaboration to take place with much more ease than it did previously.
Thank you. And as a big advocate for increasing the number of women working in technology in the drink sector as a whole, what do you think, I suppose, we could all be doing better to make these industries more diverse? Yeah.
Well, I work in beer, and I work in a sales environment, and I work in digital. So there's sort of, all of those aren't famous for having a high majority of females working in them. So for sure there's work to do. I'm immensely proud of the journey that Heineken have been on over the last 5 years or so, really setting some strong ambitions around DE&I and supporting women that have joined the organisation or have been here for many years at feeling more part of the fabric of what we do. And that is not something that you can do overnight. That is, inclusive practices and behaviours take a long time to embed. We have to look at our policies. We have to understand how it feels to be a woman in these environments and make sure that we are changing our environments to support them. We have to, look at our hiring practices and, unconscious bias. So, we've done things in Heineken, like now if we have to hire someone, you have to have a 50-50, fully diverse hiring panel, 50-50 shortlist. You have to lift up every stone to ensure that you are considering, all diverse, diverse or diversity in every facet, whether that be ethnicity or LGBTQ plus or gender. We have to ensure that we're working harder than ever to make Heineken an attractive place to come, regardless of who you are. And that is a journey that will take time. I am kind of proud to say that I've worked with some amazing female developers, product owners, scrum masters over the years. I think that they face very similar challenges to the ones that I just discussed in terms of beer and sales and Heineken. Lack of potential role models when they look up and see the sort of, the inequality at the top of their organizations, real issues as they get to a certain stage in their career and thinking about family and struggling to see a way beyond that of how things might work. So, not enough flexible working opportunities, etc. And that's all changing. But yeah, we need to support women who are in these kind of more traditional, I guess, industries, and help them imagine what a career could look like. And really strong role models, seeing women thrive and do well is really, really important. And the way you get there is get people like myself and other women to talk openly about their experiences and their career journeys. And I find that's been hugely helpful to myself over the years and to women that I work alongside.
And what would your advice be for women that are considering to move to working in either of those sectors, be it technology, beer, etc.?
Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful place to work, and there are fabulous people that I work with every day at Heineken. I've had so much fun over the years and worked with the greatest brands, and it is a family-owned business, and it's great to be part of. So I would encourage anyone to consider working or a career at Heineken. We have a journey to go on for sure, and I'm confident that we'll get there with some changes that we've made and that we're making. But it's a great place to join. And the same for technology. I would encourage, particularly within digital, women to join what is a really, really exciting, fast-paced organisation, and women are joining it. And my team are a really great mix of men and women. I think the biggest thing that I hear when I speak to women, and I mentor quite a few women in the organisation and externally, is this belief that maybe they don't deserve a place at the table. The dreaded imposter syndrome comes up time and time again. And that often comes down to finding, I guess, your value and being really confident about who you are and what you can bring to the table. And there's the old adage that if a woman goes for a job, she'll list 20 reasons why she can't get it, and a man will list 20 reasons why they should get it. And that's just kind of how women have been wired, that they have to work harder to validate and to prove themselves. And just that inner belief in who you are and what you can bring to the table, and knowing that you are good at what you do is often comes from being surrounded by people who support that and cheerlead you. So find organizations that do that, find organizations that celebrate who you are, and build that confidence from the very, very early stages of your career. Because I'm tired of speaking to women who are my age who have had years and years of feeling that they're not good enough, that they don't deserve a place at the table, because everything that they've done and delivered is incredible, and they should be super proud of that. So I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter, Rebecca, who I regularly encourage to believe in herself and know that she can achieve whatever she wants in the world. And I know when she enters business that'll start to chip away, because that's the world we live in and inequalities exist. But I hope that with more and more people like myself and many, many other women that I've come across, talking about their careers and experiences and supporting women, she will have a better chance than I did when I entered the industry at 21.
Thank you very much, and hopefully this conversation, once it gets out there, will also help in that as well. And as we come to a close, if you looked into your crystal ball, what do you think will be the biggest change we'll see in IT in the next 5 years, or business as a whole?
Yeah. I think I'll take two answers. The fight for talent is a concern, and I think we need to find better ways of attracting, retaining, and rewarding talent in technology as a whole. And I don't have the answer for that today. Organizations it's a bun fight to get people and keep people. Gone in the days of joining a company for 20 years, as you know, and it's harder to, but to see people, looking for a long-term career path that you want to invest in together and it be mutually beneficial. So that model, I think, needs to be understood. And how can organisations grow and thrive with that level of churn that they're facing? And that is for sure really prevalent in technology. And then I think I'm stating the obvious here, but just going back to the AI piece, we're on the brink of something truly extraordinary for our industry. And on the face of it, beer and cider and pubs and bars is fairly traditional. So, the local pub in your high street, some have been there for 100+ years. It's a community pub. It's built on relationships and seeing people in real life and non-virtual worlds. So we've been fairly kind of confident that we won't be disrupted by, I guess, the rise of AI and things like the metaverse and, VR and all these things that have threatened our industry for some time as they offer alternatives for people to socialize. But I don't think we can be confident for much longer. And we need to, going back to that point, we need to understand AI and we need to understand how it's going to disrupt. And it will disrupt every corner of our business. We can't be lazy about it. We can't assume that our brands will get us through. And I think having people thinking today about what 5 and 10 years looks like for our industry is really important. Doing a great project just now looking at a pub for the future and really like imagining what your local high street bar could look like in 5 years. And that's not just technology. That's about, inclusion and diversity, accessibility, sustainability, price, energy, all these things. Like how does the Great British Pub thrive and survive in the future? And it absolutely can. The industry has been through many challenges over the years, perhaps none so great as the last few, and digital will play a role to enable that growth, hopefully, rather than disrupt it or prevent it negatively. But yeah, we know that for sure change is coming quickly, and Heineken, I hope and believe, will be at the forefront of that change due to the changes that we're making and the relationship we have with partners like SAP.
That's fantastic, and Lynsey, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Thank you for your insights, and I would like to say as well, sage advice. There's so much that you've covered in the last 30-40 minutes or so that's been fantastic. So really, thank you for being with us.
I enjoyed it. It's always great to have these questions because it forces you to reflect, doesn't it? And in the world we live in and the pace we're working on, you'll rarely stop and reflect on these quite big, important questions. And I encourage everyone to do it, actually. Ask yourself what your learnings are or what your failings have been and your big successes, because it's an important point of reflection, I think. So thank you, Craig, for your time.
Well, you're more than welcome. Thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. So please do make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and be happy.